Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Complete Agent podcast, where each week we get together to talk all things estate agency. My name is James Kendall, and I'm joined by my very good friends and colleagues, Michelle Smith and Ian Storey. Guys, how has your week been? Let's go to you, Michelle.
Well, my week has been busy, good busy, and annoyingly, I'm in a bout of insomnia, which I do get. It's my age, boring.
You can't
Um,
get no sleep, sleep, sleep.
Honestly. So I've
Dun,
been up
dun, dun,
since
dun.
2 this morning and then 3 the other morning, and it's just awful. Like when I end up just getting up, having a brew, trying to read a book and trying to go back to sleep, but it doesn't work. So I know you'll relate if any of you have had insomnia or suffer from it. You just want to peel your skin off. So I'm going to do my best to string my sentences together and get my brain braining. But if I'm not making much sense, you're just going to have to, give me a
Can I
break.
just say that the listeners are used to listening to David Warburton, who can't be with us this week, so I'm sure you'll be fine.
Oh,
So
bless.
that's your week.
That is
That's
that is my week. Yeah, great.
that's
Some
your week.
great coaching clients. But I think we're probably going to go into this conversation. So, yeah, that's my week. I just need some sleep.
How about you, Ian? How's your week been, mate? Are you refreshed? Have you slept well?
Oh, I'm sorry, I have, Michelle. Yes.
Sure.
Do you know what? Since I stopped drinking, I sleep so well. I never got up in the night for a wee. I always used to go up in the night for a wee. And I never go up in the night for a wee now. It's 7 or 8 hours every night, pretty much straight. So I sleep loads better. But no, week's good. Overall, very pleased. Valuers are listing away, getting the right kind of fees. Sales are good, given it's middle of August. I spoke to a potential client yesterday who's got a lovely house that they're going to sell at some stage, and she started by saying, "Oof, the market's bad, isn't it?" I said, "Well, actually, Karen, no, the market isn't bad. The market is really good if your house is priced correctly and if the marketing is spot on. The
Was
market
she
is
really
always good,
called
really."
Karen?
She was actually called Karen. I won't give you her surname, obviously. So, things are good, sales are good, listings are there where we need to be. Phil is away on holiday this week, so a few of us have been picking up some negs while he's been away. He's actually negged one from by the pool in Mallorca. What a ledge. One that he's been working on and didn't want to give away, which is really good. So no, all good, guys. Our week is good. This morning I'm going to Wild Shore, which is like an outdoor water sports place with the kids and my parents. One of these inflatable things where you put a wetsuit on and launch yourself off into the lake. Uh, so I'm looking forward to that. And the sun is shining. The sun is shining. How about you,
Well,
JK?
well, that reminds me. This week's podcast is sponsored by Sleep Easy. The Sleep Easy tablets. For no, I'm joking. It's not really. No, it's I've had a restful week. Not to rub it in. Actually, I haven't said no. I haven't actually. We've had a dog that's been poorly, so it's been getting me up at 2 and 3 a.m. in the morning as well because he's not been too well. So yeah, I've had broken sleep. Maybe I'm in the middle of the both of you. I'm not 8 hours. I'm not insomnia. I've been getting up in the middle. Anyway, so how's the week been? It's been, do you know what? It's been one of those roller coaster estate agency weeks with fall throughs and deals, deals stalling. Bit of a mentally tough week in terms of things that are going on, but it's that resilience. You can't have that good times and good vibes without having the dips of the roller coaster as well, right? You've really got to get your teeth stuck into what's going on and just keep moving forward because you know you've got to look at all the this is obviously macro level. You've got to zoom out and look at what's happened for the rest of the year and what else is going on. So but no, it's been okay. We put on our new, well, so we haven't launched it yet, but we put on our latest sort of high end listing, a country manor house on 3 acres. So yeah, I mean it's been really good. So I'm happy with that. Just looking forward to enjoying the rest of my holiday this week. So currently abroad and enjoying the sunshine and the rest with the kids. Although technically it's not really been rest. But yeah, anyway. So Ian, you had a very good topic that you wanted to talk about this week. It wasn't insomnia and how to get to sleep. It was something else. Introduce it. What are we talking about this week?
Okay, so I'm on a drive now to systemize and process our business so that it doesn't need me. I'm not ready to give up valuing just yet, especially the higher end, because I do still love it. But I definitely want to shape the business into a position where it doesn't need me pretty much at all in the next few years. Whether or not I give up valuing or not remains to be seen. I do still love it, and I still get a real buzz out of the higher end home. So I can't see me doing that just yet. But definitely want to get into that kind of place, because I know that it'll be a more profitable business. It'll be more successful. The staff, the team will be happier, and it'll be a more valuable business to own. So I want a bit of a drive. And the first thing I've started looking at this week, which I think is where it all needs to begin, is what properties are you selling? So what homes are you selling, and what process have you got to ensure that you only sell the homes that you want to sell? I know we've spoken a few times on the podcast about turning away business that isn't right for you and being selective if that's what you want to do. But I felt that I needed a written down process to mean that long term it won't ever need me and my opinion on what on whether we should be listing these kind of houses. It'd be straightforward for the team to attract the right properties and make sure that we're not selling anything we don't want to sell. So we started off this week by listing from highest fee to lowest fee all the properties that we're currently selling that are sold STC. I think I'm going to do it for this year so far, so from the start of January. And I want to highlight the best fees and the ease of sale. Okay. And that's where we're going to start. So it's a combination, isn't it? You don't just want to list properties that have got a really high fee, because they might be quite difficult to sell.
Yeah.
A £3 million house at 2% is probably a lot harder to sell than a £1 million house at 2%. So it's a combination of the highest fee and also the ease of sale. And then once we've done that, we're going to move on and we're going to look at how we sourced those homes. So we're going to create a table with the properties on, the fees, the clients, and how easy they were to sell. We're then going to have a column that looks at how the homes were sourced. So is that from our not on the market letters? Is that from our on the market letters? Is that from our boards? Is that from our presence on Rightmove? Is that from our social media network? Where were the homes sourced? So that comes back to the team recording it in the first place. It comes back to the valuer making sure that it's recorded correctly once they've been to value it, because it's not always what you think it is until you go to the property. You don't always know where they've found you. And that column is then going to define, moving forward, how we can target our marketing and where we should be focusing on spending money, if you need to spend money, to attract the right kind of clients. And I'm hoping that process will then be able to get the team to have buy-in so that they believe in it as well. And it'll be a written down format so that any new starters that join the company will have a very straightforward way of seeing exactly how we get those clients. So that's what I've started with this week. There's loads of other stuff I want to do as well. I had a conversation with Michelle yesterday because I was like, Michelle, there's loads in my head. I've no idea how to get it onto a piece of paper. Where do I start? And Michelle was great by saying, look, just pick 3 things, the most important things you need to be looking at. Start small, focus, which was really helpful. So I just felt like that was quite an interesting topic. And I bet that is something that most estate agents never do. Thoughts, guys?
Yeah, I've got loads of thoughts on this. So I think it's really important to say here, because you're at the stage of growth now where you do have a bought-in team, and you are trying to get really strategic to be more effective. And there's a saying which culture eats strategy for breakfast. And unless you've got your culture right, you can be as strategic as you want, but it's going to be 10 times harder than if you've not already got the right culture, the right people in the right seats, and a very clear vision and kind of aligned business goals. So this is like the next step up. So this is kind of setting a standard that can replicate without you being there. Not that you're not going to be there, but that actually is what it's for. And it's putting the scaffolding in place to allow that to happen. One thing I also want to say, I had a conversation with some clients last week, and they have processes and they're in a folder, and the staff don't follow the processes. Which not just in a estate agency, I see it time and time again when I've worked with other businesses in other industries as well. And there has to be the kind of buy-in and the way that these standards and processes that are embedded within the team that allow them to actually work. So I just want to give that kind of caveat to what you're saying. Just going in straight away without having the other stuff sorted actually doesn't allow these strategic exercises to have the impact that I know they will have for you. But also, I find it really, really interesting that I know your business quite well. I think you're already excellent at doing that. And sorry, go on.
No, I agree. Yeah, and as I was starting, so I've got a few sources where I've sort of got information from to help me. And as I was starting on the process, I thought we are already quite good at this, but I do think it still needs to be defined.
Yeah, I agree.
Because you can't guarantee that it's going to carry on like that forever, can you? And especially as new people join.
No, definitely. And I think getting it solid before you go through the next phase of growth is the most sound kind of the strategy that you can have. And also, you'll hear me say it time and time again, don't let best be the enemy of better. Just because you're good at something doesn't mean that you'll have impact on your business growth by becoming even better. So yeah, I love that you're doing this. And I think the thing that people can take away from it is, people may have heard of the 80-20 rule, the Pareto principle, where 80% of your results come from 20% of your activity. So if you know which those 20% are, you want to do more of that 20% and bin off the other 80% of your activity that isn't getting you those results that are magnified.
It's so true you say that. So one of the columns that I've created is about the source of the business, and I think writing that down really, really makes you and will make the team realise how there are certain things that you just don't need to be doing. So the amount of times over the last few years, people ask you for £100 to sponsor a beer barrel at the local beer festival, or they ask you for, you know what I mean, things like that, and you think, that's only £100. Yeah, go on, do it. And I've become a lot tighter on that, in the last probably 6 to 12 months, because if you add it all up over the year, there'll be thousands of pounds there that we've spent that you don't need to be spending, and that money could be much better put to use, or it's just profit. So I think highlighting that and really getting down on where your business comes from, where the right business comes from, is important for any business to do.
The only thing I would say on that is I challenge you a little bit on that, in that whenever I don't sponsor a barrel of beer for £100, but we do the odd football team sponsorship. We do the odd charity giveaway. We do the odd charity thing that we kind of publicise, and we kind of do it for I suppose do it for the good and also for the goodwill. And I just think sometimes those sorts of things, like, let's be real. No one's going to go, do you know what, Ian Storey, he sponsored a £100 barrel, I'm just going to give him a £5 million house. It doesn't happen, does it? It doesn't happen like that. But the way that I look at it is that it can be a mix. That might come up in conversation where someone's like, oh yeah, they're the ones that do X, Y, and Z. Or, oh, they did this, or it's being seen to be a good business and being a business that's got community care. But absolutely, I'd agree with you that you can't quantify. You wouldn't go out and have a strategic meeting and go, right, guys, what we're going to do is we're going to knock all of our market updates on the head, and we're just going to donate all of our money to sponsoring football teams, because
there's levels. You're right. It's nice to be able to think. There's a local girl in a village recently who was raising money for something. I forgot what it's for, and we sponsored 30-40 quid from the business. It's great to be able to do little things like that. Equally, we sponsor a cricket team on a main A road, so we've got board up, things like that. But there's
you also do a lot of work as well, though, for your community. That it's not you giving money away. It's things like the community interviews. How much are they worth? Because if they were to get a professional company in to film a segment like that in their business, they're probably looking at 2, 3, 4, 500 quid. So
Yeah.
you know, yeah, I totally agree with you. But also on the other side, I think if anyone listening, like, it doesn't mean don't do anything for your community. What it means is that you don't, if you've got a choice between sending 100 on the market letters out to people or sponsoring, I don't know, like you said, the local keg at the beer festival, then you know where your money's better placed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. They're two different things, really, but they can get confused. I think if people are looking for local sponsorships, etc., to generate business, the money definitely will be better spent elsewhere. However, if they just want to do it because they like, the charity or they support the sports club or whatever it is, they're two different things, aren't they? But it's getting really clear on that. I think that's the key bit, isn't it?
One thing we found in terms of where business comes from is in terms of the volume of new business. There's nothing in our business at the moment that can beat the market update letters and the market updates that we send out. But it's multifaceted. And the thing is, some of the houses we sell aren't as a direct result of that. So, for example, we had a house recently before where we listed the house at 1.4, and the people that wanted to buy it had a house at 850, and then people wanted to buy that. So basically, we got it off the market update. They instructed us. Someone viewed it with a house to sell at 800. We ended up selling their house at 800. So it's not a direct result of that letter going through their door, but it's a direct result of that instruction that came from a letter through the door. And then the 800 house came on the market, and somebody else with a 600 house that wanted to upsize to it came on. So what I find we're really good at is spinning the business and asking for the business. So if somebody has a local house to sell and then inquire, we're very good at getting through the door and signing it up. But that's a really nice way of, the market updates where it starts. So you kind of get the top aspirational property. Then the person in kind of that sort of mid to upper end of the market wants to buy the aspirational property. Then you get the person maybe in the sort of, lower premium end at sort of 500-600 that then wants to buy that next step up. And we've just found that the market updates for that that's been doing that for about 6 years now. And that's really sort of transformed our business. And if we look at where our revenue has gone over the last 5-6 years, it's consistently gone up.
Absolutely. I love that, though. That's proper estate agency, isn't it?
Yeah.
You just get one little chink, one little in, and then how much business can you create from that one little in?
Yeah. And if you're not doing that, then, like you say, that's one of the fundamentals of a estate agency, isn't it? You've got a serious problem if you're not doing that.
So what's next on your list, Ian?
Well, that was the first stage of the process. The next stage of the process is defining. I want to define what our sort of main business goal is, our main sort of driver. So is that selling really nice houses? Is it giving amazing service to clients? What's the main? That's the number one thing that we want the team to have in their minds.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to come on to when and I'm going to discuss it with the team. And I'm not sure if it's going to be the service or is it going to be being known for selling the nicer end homes. What do we really want to be known for?
I think that just discussing it out loud while you just put it out into the universe. I think in my mind, one kind of almost looks after another. So if you become known for the service, then I think the people that will value service are the people that live in the high end and aspirational homes. And it's like that saying, isn't it? If you look after your team will look after your clients. So if your service is, and that service doesn't mean you'll just, it does mean you'll ring somebody back when you say you'll ring them back, but your service is how you market the homes. Your service is how, you present them on social media. Your service is the community interviews. Your service is the market. Like all of that builds around and leans into, and that will resonate with what you've basically just talked about as your ideal client. Where do they come from? Who are they? What is their demographic? What are they tuned into? And I think I'm just out loud in my mind, my thing would be the standard of service that you set will resonate with your audience, and then your audience will automatically gravitate to you. Because let's be honest, people in 200-300 grand houses that are just looking for the cheapest fee, that's what they're looking for. They're looking for the cheapest fee. They're not necessarily they want the service when, you know, the proverbial hits the fan. They want someone that's going to pick up the phone and sort it out for them. But the reality is they're not looking for it, and they're not in tune. You know, it's why do people at the upper end fly Emirates business or first class when they could just fly economy for a lot less money? Because they want the service, they want how it makes them feel, and that's again, that's part of your service as well. How does your service make someone feel? Do they feel like, oh, we're selling our home with Storeys, or, you know, there's a James Kendall. Like, I had a client that completed last week, and we're having a good chat, and this will be the third house I've sold for the family, and he said, you know, I just obviously always rated you, and, you know, you'd sold 2 houses for us before. He goes, but you've gone to another level with the new branding and the team and the marketing. And he just said, like, you know, everyone I come into, he's a local builder, so he sees loads of people, and he kind of, you know, does like higher end, like extensions and stuff like that, and really, really well known in the area. And he just said, like, you know, we knew we wanted to sell our house with you because, you know, we wanted that board outside the house. It said, because he goes, being a bit vulnerable here, he goes, but I would rather have your, like, especially the new boards that you've got swinging out the front of the house, because then, you know, I'm known for doing a quality job. People know that JK is quality. Like, and I, you know, I kind of selfishly said, like, while I was there, I was like, well, you know, to be fair, when someone sees a JK board outside the front of the house, they know that it's going to be a certain standard of house, and that's also going to lock value in to whoever's selling the house, because they're going to know, oh, well, they only sell, because, yeah, like you said, Ian, like, it's a nice brand positioning where, you know, it's only really, I suppose, in the last 4 or 5 years that we've had this, but people say, oh, you only sell the nice houses now, don't you? That's what you do.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing, isn't it? We've had that obviously quite a lot as well, and that's why I don't think there's any need to worry about your competition, because there's plenty of people trying to emulate. But, you know, I think it's impossible to copy exactly what you do, and the main thing that comes back to is your culture, and it's impossible to copy the culture in your office, and that is what permeates out through everything. And we have people now that only want to use us, even though there are other agents that can do twilights and videos, but it's the brand, isn't it? It's the brand that they believe in, that they buy into.
100%. And the thing is, you've got the proof as well, you know, because the thing is, you're consistent, and we talked about consistency. I mean, well, umpteen times. It's what drives us forward, and you've got to have that consistency in your marketing, because it's all about showing up consistently every week. You know, you've got Premier League footballers, which I know neither of you are going to resonate with, but, you know, they come on and, you know, you can score a hat-trick in one game. But I'm sure, even though neither of you are massive football fans, both of you know who Ronaldo and Messi are.
No.
No, very funny.
I heard of it.
So Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi are arguably the greatest to play the game. And the reason they are the greatest to have played the game is because they are consistently putting in a result and a shift every week. You know, anyone can turn up for one game and score a hat-trick and be forgotten about, but these guys are putting it in, week out. And that's the thing, you know, people remember that consistency, you know, the selling the nice homes, actually getting them sold. Because, you know, what was the stat that came out last year? And I think don't think it's changed much either. And if anything, it's probably going to get worse. That the average agent only actually exchanges on about 52% of what they list. And, you know, if we're out there exchanging on 80 odd % of what we list, you know, that is an elite stat in the industry. You know, we are not the norm, and people will recognize that. Oh, you know, people always say to me, oh, you get them sold as well, don't you? You know, they look great and you get them sold. And it's being known for having that consistency of the marketing, where people are, you know, sort of looking at you aspirationally and going, you know, again, it's like the feeling you get when you sit in a nice car. You know, you could sit in a Chinese car now that's got leather seats, but I guarantee you feel better sat in a Bentley than you do sat in an Xpeng. You know, sorry if you're listening to this and you've got an Xpeng, but, you know, but it's true, isn't it? You know, you could be sat on the same leather, but if you're driving down the street, let's say you got a convertible Bentley, you're driving down the high street in a convertible Bentley, you'd feel better, not better, but you would feel better.
Brand.
But do
It's
you know what I
brand.
mean? It's the brand, isn't it? I mean, that's kind of what I'm trying to allude to really, really badly. But you could have the same car with a different badge, but it's how that person makes, and that's where the agency branding comes in, like having a Storeys board, having the JK board outside, having a Burton James board outside. We're at that level now where we've been doing it consistently enough where people almost want us to have a board. Where will you put the board, rather than can we have a board? It's where will you put the board, and people buy into that.
Yeah, I agree. And just kind of to tie this together, so that's already where your business is, and what you're doing now is sifting. So even though you've got that brand presence, you're now drilling down to say, yes, I've got the right homes, I get excellent fees, but the categories that you said in the beginning were what were the best fees and what were the easiest to sell. And so JK, when you were talking about what percentage from listing do we sell, you're actually sifting now for gold. And when you're in that position, it's amazing because your business is already successful, but you're now really honing in on the 80-20 principle. So you can focus your efforts and get kind of even better results. So it's just the next layer, isn't it? The next layer of effort and energy, and where are the team going to be focusing?
So I think maybe a good place to cap it off is, and this isn't an advert, but it actually is, which maybe we should put some music behind this bit. But if anybody's listening to this and is thinking about moving to the next level, or you're stuck, or you've just been going through the day to day, there's loads of agents. We've got hundreds of agents each week that listen to this podcast. And I'm pleased to say in the last few weeks, we've had loads of people join our free Explorer membership on the TCA website. And it's a really good place to start on the portal. So if you're intrigued about dipping your toe in the water as to what TCA is and how it can elevate you to the next level, then jump onto thecompleteagent.co.uk and just try the Explorer membership and see what you can see on the portal there, because there's loads more in the paid membership. But even if you're just dipping your toe in the water, we've got a great free buyer letter as part of that you can download and start implementing straight away. But honestly, for some of the members that we've got in the group, they've doubled fees. They've gone from 1% to 2%. We've got a range of members in the group, and they are all amazing people. So if you'd like to be considered for a paid membership, then let us know as well. But I think that will be a really good place to start for a lot of people, because this market, in my opinion, is only going to get harder. And if the market's going to get harder, you need to get better. And the best way to get better is to learn and improve. So just my 2 pence, guys. Anything before we bid these people good week?
No, just enjoy the rest of your holiday, JK.
I will. The sun's, I'm already tanned. I've been enjoying the sun all week. It's lovely. And I also flew Emirates as well. So I do practice what I preach.
Nice. Lovely.
Right. Well, look, it's been a pleasure, guys. Love you both. Thank you for listening, guys. And we will see you next week.